Thank you for being here. It's a pleasure to spend the time of this morning. I'm going to show you how some of these products work. Most important, I'm not here to teach you guys anything. I'm pretty aware that you are experienced modelers, so I'm here to share with you how I made things a certain way to achieve some good results. The main purpose of this is that you find your own way of using them, but you have to know how things work. The moment that you find what works for you, you are done. You're good, I mean. English is not my first language, so I'm sorry. Sorry for that. So,
they just want the information.
yeah, let's go into it. So yeah, what we're going to do today, I've been obsessed with winter weathering, winter camos for 20 years. I'm always evolving, trying different techniques on my own. There's so many ways to do the same thing, it can drive you crazy. Some of these are test pieces, just for the demo, so they're not so fancy looking, but we're gonna beat the crap out of them. So we're gonna work on some terrains. We're gonna winterize, as I like to say. And yeah, let's have fun. Let's have some fun. First, we're gonna go with a winter whitewash on the turret. We have to, unfortunately, to respect some drying times. That's what I already whitewashed this one, so we can apply the weathering techniques on a previously whitewashed hull. We're going to try to do the same here. I will show you on different panels, different approaches to do the same whitewash, from a faded one to a chipped one, depending on what you want or what you like to represent on your model. This has been painted with Tamiya, just a thin coat of satin varnish from AK, if I remember correctly. You don't need nothing fancy to make a whitewash. Just this one. Have you guys have any experience with hairspray, the hairspray technique? Yes? It works for you? That's the thing, it's not consistent. That's the problem I used to have for many years. That depends on what brand you get, what kind of hairspray do you get. Some hairsprays remain unstable for weeks. You think it's dry, and you come here, you start applying your weathering techniques, and all of a sudden it starts chipping again. So that's a problem. For some people, that's a blessing, because they don't have time to make a whitewash in one sitting. They just leave it there, come back next week, and continue doing their work. I don't like that. I like to do as much as possible the first time I'm doing it. So that's what I switched to the worn effects. This is for scratches. There's another product that's called heavy chipping effect that I don't recommend using it for whitewash, because it chips too much. You just you make a brushes, you strike it with a brush, and it takes a lot of paint. That's good for burnout vehicles and knockout vehicles and all of that. I highly recommend the worn effects. You're gonna see why it's pretty simple to use it. So I'm gonna use the old classic Tamiya flat white. Oh, I've been trying to do the same with Tamiya gloss, and I realized it works totally different. I don't know. Yeah, it has a sheen that I really like. I don't know if this hasn't been varnished with anything. Maybe you guys in front maybe could see it better. So it gives a really nice sheen. It's been painted with gloss white. Totally different from this one that is flat white. So that was the thing I was just doing. So how I'd like to apply this. Many use the worn effects through the airbrush. I don't like to do that because I'm lazy. I hate to clean my airbrush. So I prefer to use a brush. Second, I found that the best way to get the best results is to work in sections. If I brush the chipping effect all over the turret at once, I kind of start here doing all of the chipping and stuff, and when I'm here, I'm start to get different results because it's gonna get dry. So I highly advise that you start with one panel. We start with one panel, we do everything you want to do it, and you go to the next one, and you can work that way the whole tank. I work first the front of the hull, then the sides, until I get the whole tank done. So you can just sit for 5 minutes, work this, you go have lunch or whatever, you come back and you got the other. So it's all about control. People are trying to do as many things at once, and that's where problems begin. Because you are against time, you're rushing things. I don't like to get that sensation of that I have to hurry up my chipping, because when I'm here it's going to be dry, so the effect is ruined. So we're just gonna brush it. Oh, okay. You can see there's a slight sheen of the satin varnish. I like to do it not because it's not going to work, it's because of the contrast. Since I'm using a flat paint, it may have a slight sheen when the chipping begins, so you have the metal look of the tank and the whitewash. So, yeah. Other thing to consider is the more layers you apply, the more it's going to get chipped. The drying time on this one, that varies. Here it kind of dries pretty fast. It's impressive. It's already drying here. So I will advise you to just look at it. When it looks dry, it is dry. You don't have to wait 5 minutes, 10 minutes. It's too much. Even 2 minutes, it's too much. I'm going to apply another coat. When this one dries up, you see it's already dry here. I can start mixing the paint. Dilution, just like any paint you like to use, just like milk, they say. I'm always using different mixing ratios. I have no idea the percentages. You ask me, hey, I have no idea. I just eyeball everything. I'm not that professional. Now, other things important, you're going to see where we're doing it. It's how heavy of a coat of white you apply. That varies a lot on the effect that you're going to achieve. We can apply a second coat. And you can get different effects on the same panel with the intensity of your coat. Some guys use a hairdryer to accelerate things. I don't recommend that. It changes the way the product works. You're going to regret it. So just a couple more minutes. We're in Canada, so it's going to dry fast. What I like to use to make the different scratches, it's a hard bristle brush. It just gives you a little more, yeah, it's better. Although you need a softer one too. And for finer scratches, use whatever you want, but never use your hobby knife. because it's going to bite through the plastic and it's going to make a mess. You can use a pointy toothpick, something like that. I'd like to use this one. Okay. It's almost done. Okay, first we're going to apply a heavy coat because that's like the main whitewash look. It's like let's say complete. That's the word. Okay, I'm using a 0.4 if I get it. We're going to go heavy on this one. On the other panel, we're going to do different approaches. Okay. A whitewash doesn't have to look good. It was supplied with the mops and pieces of clothes. Okay. It's like doesn't
So
look
you're
good.
not concerned about a complete covering coat, just a light.
If you like that look, because you can have like a freshly applied whitewash, you can do that. I like really worn out. So there's no much waiting time here. I'd like to wet the whole surface first to let the water sink in. Unload your. Okay, so nature is random, but on tanks there are certain things that are kind of logical because where the crew goes up and down, where the crew passes, they have the rifles, wrenches and stuff. They're going to just make scratches on some places. But on Russian tanks, it was so bad quality that it started with rain, with water, it started to chip. So it would make logic. I said nature is random, but here you have certain things to consider. So you just start pretty slow. If you want something more subtle, you see, I'm not rushing things. Load.
That's so cool.
There's nothing
I've
fancy.
never seen that.
The process?
Yeah.
Okay, if you want to make some scratches, don't go crazy with that. Just
So if there were decal on that side of that tank, or tank, the turret, you put the decal on post green, but before white, right?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, some crews cover their decals if you want to do that. I don't like to cover them. I just go around like here. This is a test piece, just like that. Ah, that's it. There you go. That's more than enough, because the scratch that you made, it's gonna chip. So if you go crazy scratching it, you're gonna take big parts of it. So I'll make an example here. It's gonna get bigger and bigger and bigger. So we don't want that. We want control. I'm all about control. This can be so easily overdone. I don't need to stop. Okay. Okay, so this is the most common way to do it. Just as you saw, just a coat of flat white, mostly an even coat. Although I always tend to vary my spray pattern. That's what we're gonna do on the other side. So as I said, this is the basics, the most basic whitewash you can do with the heavy chipping and Tamiya. Why Tamiya? Because of all the paints I've tried, this offers the best small chips that you can achieve. Other paints, for example, Vallejo. If you try to do this with Vallejo, it's not gonna have like this a small. I don't know if you can see them. I mean, pretty small scratches. You can pass it so you can see. So for me, Tamiya it's the best for doing this. Now, this technique applies to almost everything that you want to do. You can do it for, as I said, the knuckle vehicle, but that would require the heavy chipping.
You just, obviously you apply that brush. Would you ever apply that by an airbrush? Or?
Yeah, of course. You clean it with water, but I don't like to use my airbrush with that. It is fast, but I like to have my paint ready. If I have another airbrush, which I do, I use for varnishes and all of that, but I didn't bring it. That's going to be dry in 5 minutes. It's going to be 100% stable. There's no problem with that. You can start your weathering process right away.
So would you seal this again and then start?
You know, I don't do that. You know, in modern we have so many variables, and so many things can go wrong. So many things that I try to minimize all of that. The only thing I let's say, varnish, it's satin varnish on my base coat, because I like that the washes to run better. If you have a matte surface and you start using your washes, it's going to struggle. They're going to stay there. You have to start moving them. So I only use a satin varnish on this before this step. I don't matte coat. I consider paints I use are matte. If I use a matte coat, that will be for the pigments to attach. Pigments don't like satins or glossy finishes. But for the overall look of the model, no, nothing. Because you start to get different sheens, it's not sheens, different textures, if I can say that. Even here, you have that, you can see that the satin of the green starts to make a beautiful contrast with the with the matte white. No. No. Right there, here. You see it shines? That's going to help you. That's going to make you take a second look. Wow, that looks good. So that's the only varnish that I apply. That's a satin. The thing with varnishes, it's an old aircraft techniques. Aircraft guys, they like to shine. They like their aircraft shiny. So with Armour model, people tend to adopt those. I consider we don't need to, even if you finish your model with pigments and the whole thing, and you spray a matte coat, you ruin it. All the effects are gone. Everything's going to blend into one mass. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to do a different approach here. Same procedure, nothing fancy. I'm going to go a little heavy here. In modeling, yeah. Another good thing about the whitewash, for those guys that have a heavy hand with chipping, the whitewash tones them down. For example, this Panther, it's a pit I can show you how cheap this area was. It was horrible. I mean, I said, damn, I just damaged my tank. But I applied it even doesn't look like a whitewash. It has a whitewash, it's heavy weathered. All of the chips, they disappeared almost. So if you overdo something, you can cover it with a whitewash. I'm not saying to use it as an excuse to cover your mistakes, but it works. It helps. Oh, one other thing here happening. Don't let the product pool. I don't know if you, yeah, that's gonna ruin everything. So I went a little heavy, so it's pooling over here. Just unload it like that until it's even. That's gonna make a really heavy chip. So we don't want that. You can expand the product a little more. It's not gonna ruin everything. Anything. Yeah, and the pooling is gone. You don't have it. There you go. I'll do more here. Okay, so as I said, on the back plate, we're going to make it heavy, a heavy effect. By that I mean it's going to be almost half gone. The top is going to be with paint, and here it's going to be chip. So we can do a streaking effect that's going to look cool. Yeah, we can start. Okay. Just let the water sink in for a second. You heavy on the bottom. Ah. Okay. You kind of stipple a little bit if you want more chips on the top. It looks good. I don't mind doing it. See. Slime like this. That's it. So I need to stop. I'm going to take it all off. So let me try this. Okay, you see, with the same product, same technique, you have a total different effect. I mean, it's the same effect, but you can suggest a different weathering. Just by applying more paint to one side, you can pass it. Yeah, if you see that you're not achieving the result that you want, you can go and let's say remove it. The thing is that this product self-levels. It's like water. It's not gonna make a surface bumps or see a difference in your surface. What it could happen is that you could see the edges of the white. In that extreme case, you could just sand it. But it's really the coats are thin because the paint is really it's really thin. So you shouldn't have any issues with it. Yeah, that's the beauty of this. It's just like water. Once it evaporates, it's nothing. It's like it wasn't there. We're gonna do another more panel there with the contrary effect. It's gonna be more wear on the top and the paint on bottom, because it's supposed to that Russian tanks chip different from German tanks. That's what the modern wise men say. I have more than 3 million pictures, no kidding. I've been doing for 20 years collecting pictures, and I can see a difference between a Russian and a German tank. So I apply the same techniques to almost all of them. Yeah, they say that a Russian whitewash washes out. Germans chip because the paint was better. It's okay, we're good. Okay, so we're gonna do the last one. Oh, on the top, yeah.
Those white bits that are there now, you've ground some damage in, is that right?
Excuse me?
Those white bits that are there in the front, that's ground in.
Oh yeah, that was a base color for impacts. Mm. Oh, one important thing I forgot. I'd like to add a little drop of this color. I totally forgot. It's buff XF57 to my white. Why? If I'm going to display this model on a snowy terrain, The only thing that should be pure white, it's snow. If you add a little, we can do it right now, a little bit of buff, you're gonna throw that white off. It's gonna be like off-white. I like this color because it's pretty subtle. You're gonna say, hey, it looks the same for me. It looks like, yeah, it's like it's white, but it's not. You can consider that like a pre-weathering. A pre-weathering technique. Your eyes are going to say it's white, but it's not. that's the beauty of it. Our brains are preset. Yeah. I don't know if I can show you.
You can see the difference.
Maybe here.
It's a little bit dark.
Ah. Oh, thank you. Let's say it here. Ah. Oh, that one's much. This is a test piece of it, but I love it. Just can go. It's like an ivory. Okay. I'm gonna have him. Okay, you guys get the idea, no? This is like end of the winter, or if you want to make it off season, almost when the whitewash is almost gone. I consider that this look will get the point across. I mean, this could be still in service. I mean, still in winter, because the crew started to repaint it, so you can have some odd painting on it. But this one is just winter is over, so yeah, they're not painting anymore, so it's almost gone. Yeah, you can just eyeball it if you want to go heavy here. You do it. If not, you just leave it. I like to try to texture it as much as possible. Okay. Okay, that's good. Okay, so this is just, I don't want to say the easy part. Modeling, nothing is easy. But this is our starting point. The whitewash has, it was applied with, as I said, with mops, pieces of clothing, with everything they had in hand, except an airbrush. That's the only thing they didn't have was that. They just, with their hands, it was crazy. It was pretty
Desperate.
sloppy, yeah. So we need to reproduce that. So we're gonna make this this white pop. We're gonna make it with two different ways. We need to. That depends on you. You can use oils. Where are my oils here? Or you can use any acrylic paint, anything you like. We're gonna do something that's called mapping. You guys are familiar with that? Okay.